Listen. KSBM is an aim to invoke change. So, with every live stream, they talk about the important things. Just make sure that you're tuned in. Yes, sir.
We elevate and we educate and we entertain whatever your flavor is. We got it on lock now. Building the future, brick at a time, a day at a time, a show at a time. Got something for everyone. We rock it, get with us. KSBM Radio. We rock it. KSBM Radio. Get with it. KSBM Radio. We rock it. KSBM Radio. Get with it. Get with it. Get with it, Get with it. Oh. KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
I'm closer to the music.
Broadcasting live from Marvin E. Robinson School of Business and Management, Dallas, Texas.
My radio station.
We are KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Violet.
I'm Jasmine.
I'm Unison.
And I'm Dante.
With KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview. And today we're here with Mr. Brandon Reed. Also special shout out to Jasmine because it's her birthday. Happy birthday. But thank you so much for being here.
No problem.
So how are you feeling?
Amazing. Feel like I'm on the Breakfast Club right now.
So can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, like, just anything? Just
Yeah, absolutely.
Fact.
West Philadelphia, born and raised. No, I'm just playing. So Brandon Reed's the name. I'm an entrepreneur and a financial coach and mentor. Teach people about money and also show people how to go into business for themselves and be successful. Grew up in the area. Actually went to Duncanville High School. And just from there, I didn't know what I wanted to do as a career, but I did know I wanted to make a lot of money. I remember in the first grade, teachers asked what I wanted to do. I said, whatever makes the most money. So, of course, I didn't know what path that would be. But as life went on, I decided to embark in a career in the financial industry, and it's been a blessing for me and my family. Married, 3 kids, have an amazing lifestyle, and we've been able to do some great things.
What motivated you to join the financial industry?
Money. It was money. I mentioned how I wanted to be in a career that makes the most money, and whenever I did my research, it always came back to financial services. I also realized people that help people with their biggest issues make the most money. Well, people's biggest issues is money. So I said, you know what, that's the path that I want to go, the financial industry. I didn't know anything about it, but at 18 years old, I got an insurance license, and a few years later got an investment license, and from there built a successful brokerage and just kind of dominated the industry over the past decade.
Would you say there's like a person or maybe a movie or even like any object that kind of gave you, I would say, like an opportunity or like made you think of, this is going to help me and I'm going to go in the path I want to go?
Sure. It's funny you say that. I always tell people all the time, I came into the financial industry because one of my favorite movies is Wolf of Wall Street. And of course, I didn't want to throw midgets across on the dartboard. I don't know if you guys seen the movie. Great movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, but that inspired me. And then just reading certain books, of course, allowed me to know that I wanted to go the entrepreneur route. So definitely that movie, other movies like Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps, The Boiler Room, Pursuit of Happiness, all those different movies that are centered around financial services kind of drew me into the industry.
Oh, that's so funny you mentioned Pursuit of Happiness because you should really make a movie.
I should,
You should make a movie. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I did some, research on you. And you were a Walmart employee, correct?
I sure was, yeah.
So how does a Walmart employee go from that to just joining a business like Primerica? Thank you. I'm
so the thing is, at 18 years old, I didn't know what path I was going to go. I was in college at the time, and I was broke. So I needed some money. So Walmart was hiring. I started working at Walmart. And it's not as if it was a transition into the financial industry, but while I was working at Walmart, I knew I needed more. So I had an open mind. I was seeking other opportunities. So, of course, when the Primerica came my way, I had an open mind because I was broke. I knew nothing about money. Only thing I knew was I didn't have any. And somebody was willing to teach me, show me how to get licensed. And they talked about making 6 figures. They talked about being your own boss, making an impact in your community. community, and I said, man, this all sounds amazing. I'm in. Where do I sign up? And so that's how I now coined myself from Walmart to Wall Street. So,
how has Primerica contributed to your professional growth?
A lot of ways. And it's not even about the financial education. Of course, that played a major role, but it's more so it just taught me how to be a leader. It taught me how to be an entrepreneur because Primerica is an entrepreneur avenue. And it taught me all the necessary intangibles on how to be successful in any career path. And I think that's what it really helped me instill in myself, where from there I've been able to, do a lot of successful real estate investments, have a bar in Deep Ellum, and have a lot of other successful ventures. But I think Primerica really instilled a lot of principles that allowed me to be successful.
How would you say getting that insurance license at a young age impacted you today?
It definitely impacted me because I didn't want to go to school for 4 years to get a degree. They said I can go through a 2-day class to get a license that's just as equivalent as far as in terms of income. And I said, yeah, I'm going that direction. I was a straight A student, but I knew I didn't want to go the path of college for me personally, because just me studying, economics and seeing how the world is shifting, that it's going to be more so about skills and trades versus actual degrees. I mean, I just read an article, I believe it was Google, they're removing the requirement of needing a college degree where you can have equivalent experience instead of having to go to school for 4, 8, 12 years. Me being a financial advisor, I sit with a lot of individuals and they have hundreds of thousands in debt, and I'm like, I don't want that. So, that's why I went and got that license, and it's been powerful. I mean, just from that license alone, I've been able to put nearly $1 billion back into households in terms of life insurance if individuals pass away. And I think that's a cornerstone of building wealth. Life insurance is the foundation. So the fact that they allowed an 18-year-old punk kid to get a license with no college degree, not knowing anything about anything, it was truly a blessing.
Okay, so you mentioned that you didn't want the 4-year college and that you didn't want debt. So there's a lot of kids that nowadays people think, oh, you have to go to college to have more money, or you have to go to college to have a good life. What kind of support can you give to someone who wants to have money but doesn't really think college is for them?
Right, absolutely. Skills pay the bills. It's all about skills. So find a career path where supply and demand favors it. There's a need, and then you don't need to have a degree to supplement or to make that a path of being able to make money. You just need to find an industry that doesn't require degrees maybe, and you just need skill sets. Of course, you'll need licenses and certifications, but really skill sets is the new thing that's needed to be successful in a career nowadays, in my opinion. Yes, there are careers where you do need to get a degree, but there are a lot of careers where you can make money that don't require it. IT, healthcare, the financial industry. So I think more than ever, people need to look at industries that require licenses and certifications.
Okay, so anyways, so you became one of the youngest vice presidents at 23. That is amazing. I plan to be like that. So what are some qualities or skills that you have that you feel like kind of put you past everyone else?
Sure. So the biggest thing I've realized is why people don't succeed at a young age is lack of confidence. But I tell people all the time, age is only an issue in the absence of value. So that's why I'm very big on telling people become more valuable. If I had the cure to cancer and I was only 17 years old, but nobody else had figured it out, I don't think anybody's going to say, you're 17, nope, I'm not taking the cure. So the key is just to be valuable. You got to put in more work, more time, because you got to think somebody older has more life experiences. But that doesn't mean you can catch up to the life experiences. You just have to do more. So I made the decision that I was going to do things that most kids my age weren't doing. And I put in the work and built up the experience. And then, at a young age, I had people 3 times my age coming to me for financial advice and mentorship. So age is only an issue in the absence of value.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
How does Primerica stand out in the financial service industry?
Great question, because there's a lot of financial institutions, a lot of financial companies, and our company, the backbone of it is education. Our founder was, actually I'm flying out in a few weeks to go meet with him. He's a billionaire, he's a legend in the world of business, Art Williams, and he was ripped off by the financial industry. When his mom died, dad died, his mom got the wrong type of life insurance, didn't have much come in. He found out how it should have been done, and he made a decision to correct the industry. So Primerica, while the traditional financial industry is taking advantage of what people don't know about money, people's financial ignorance, Primerica's coming in and cleaning things up and actually educating the consumer and making sure people know about money and aren't making money mistakes.
Okay, so what are some things that you as senior vice president and like what does it entitle? Basically, what are you doing?
That just means that I'm responsible for a lot of licensed individuals. I have about 250 licensed agents in my organization. I have 6 vice presidents that run their own office across the U.S. So that just means that I'm responsible for creating all that. So that's really what it entails. So, yeah, a lot of not as much responsibility as you would think. Because of the fact that I have what's called leveraged income. It's kind of like if you become a real estate agent, you have agents and brokers. The brokers just hire and train the agents. The agents really do all the work and make some money, but the broker makes that passive income. Yeah. So that's what the senior vice president is. I'm just a broker of brokers.
What would you personally say it takes to be a senior vice president and to have that leadership role that you have?
The key is being a leader. A lot of times nowadays, especially in corporate America, you find individuals with the title being bossy, being a manager, but nowadays America needs leaders. So I think one of the most important things I had to do to get to the position that I am, to have such a large organization, is I had to equip myself with leadership characteristics and qualities. So reading a lot of books from John Maxwell and things of that nature, that definitely helped me out. So leadership, people skills, tenacity, desire, discipline. I mean, I can go on and on. How long do we have?
Okay, so what does being part of the 30 under 30 advisors mean to you? Like, how would you say that's an accomplishment for you?
Major accomplishment. A magazine, Forbes, came out with the top 30 financial advisors that are under 30, and I guess I made an impact, and they decided to showcase me and the things that I've accomplished. So it was a major accomplishment, because sometimes when you're working so hard in a career and you may not see things going the way you think, you never know what's going on the outside. Sometimes you're in the grind so much, but since you're in that grind, you don't pay attention to the small successes. And then when you look back, you see all the things you've accomplished and be like, wow. So those late nights, early mornings, the trials, the tribulations, it actually paid off. And sometimes when you're going through the race, you don't pay attention to it. It's kind of like when you're running I don't know if anybody did like a 5-mile marathon. When you're running it, 4 miles into, you're tired, like, man, am I going to make it? But then you sit back and realize, I'm already 80% of the way there. And sometimes we don't sit in and actually pay attention to our accomplishments.
I think that's really nice of you to say, because a lot of the times people think, oh, I haven't gone anywhere, or, oh, I'm still the same place where I started, but you have to look at the tiny little things that got you to where you're at.
That's it.
So what is, oh my God, my bad. Okay, as a senior vice president, how do you contribute to Primerica's mission of financial empowerment?
Distribution. I'm going to give you guys a secret to getting wealthy. It's not about personal efforts. It's about building a distribution hub. John Paul Getty, billionaire, oil tycoon, he said, I'd rather get paid 1% of 100 people's efforts versus 100% of my own. That's leverage. So as a senior vice president, I'm responsible for distribution. I mean, I can go out there and put together strategies to help individuals build $1 million, help people get out of debt, but I'm only one man. But the fact that I can recruit, train, and develop masses to be able to do what I can do, and I can be in multiple places at once, that's valuable right there. I mean, McDonald's doesn't have the best burgers. I mean, some of you might think they do, but they don't. But yet they sell the most burgers. Why? Because of distribution. They got 38,000 locations. So even though they don't have the best burger, they sell the most because they have a large army. And I'm responsible for creating that so we can go serve more individuals, help more families.
Also, that $1 menu never
that
goes
helps
wrong.
out too.
Never goes wrong.
What financial advice would you give to a high school student who is just learning how to manage money?
I would say take courses on money. You know, I teach a lot of how money works for kids, or even beyond that, but take courses on money, understand investments, understand debt, understand credit, because credit is king. You know, a lot of people think credit cards are bad. People that don't know how to use credit cards are bad. Credit cards are great if you know how to utilize it. So just take time to learn those different things: investments, the debt world, credit, and take courses. They got things on YouTube. One good thing about society today is everything is accessible thanks to technology. Information is accessible. So there's no reason, I started investing at 18 years old, there's no reason for you not to have $1 million saved in your 30s because of all the information that's available that's teaching you how to invest and what to do with your money.
How would you say like as a mentor, how would you say you develop the next generation of financial investors and financial leaders?
I stay working on my craft. Society is changing. It's constantly evolving. And if I'm stuck in the past, how can I motivate, mentor, coach the next wave of leaders? When, let's say, I always bring up this story, the railroad industry. They were the dominators back in the early 1900s. If you were in that industry, you'd be a multimillionaire. Well, things started to transition, where transportation started to evolve, airplanes and 18-wheelers. But the railroad industry thought they were in the railroad industry, not the transportation industry, so they got knocked out of business. So the whole point of that is I got to constantly evolve because generations are changing. Gen Z, I think the newest one is Gen Alpha. I got to understand the way they think, the way society is built for them, and how I can complement that.
Okay, so you are involved in various organizations, including the African American Leadership Council. How do you balance your corporate role with like community involvement? So
I mentioned earlier being able to have a lot of leverage, have a lot of individuals in my organization, which gives me a lot of free time. But time management is so critical. One of the reasons why a lot of people fail in things that they do is they don't know how to manage their time. So now with a lot of the corporations, I just sit in a chair pretty much. I'm just the face of it, or I do something on a minimal level. The African American Leadership Council is just made up of a bunch of African Americans in the financial industry that make over $200,000 a year. So it's just more of an award, a recognition. But some of the other things that I sit a part of, it doesn't require much time, but I make sure I prioritize. And that's so critical. Time management is everything. So I prioritize my schedule. I make sure I put what's important, and everything else kind of on the back end.
So I feel like since you're talking about like finance, insurance, a lot of, let's say, of the minority, they don't think like, oh, I'm gonna have enough money to do the things I want to do, or every day it's a struggle to keep up with how everyone's 5 steps ahead. How do you feel like, you don't have to be that way, or there's ways that you can change that? Education,
information, everything is accessible. Everything wealthy people know about money is on the internet. So there's no excuse for someone that is in a lack or somebody that may have started a little bit behind. Like me, I worked at Walmart. I was on food stamps. I was on welfare. I was living payday loan to payday loan. 99-cent Jack in the Box tacos was a 5-star meal for me. But the thing is, I didn't allow my circumstances to be my outcome. So what I did was I focused on getting the information that wealthy people knew. I love on TikTok, they got the Daniel, I forgot his name, but he goes up and asks, what do you do? Yes. And I think that's the type of mentality we have to have. If you see someone successful, don't be afraid to go up and ask them, what do you do? Successful people love leaving clues. They love sharing information because they want more people at the top. So you just have to have that mindset of, I need to grow, I need to learn, I need to go access information.
How would you describe the impact that technology has nowadays on the financial industry?
A lot of impact. 70% of my business, I pay attributes to social media because it allows me to connect. I think one of the biggest things in my industry that technology does, of course, it allows you to do things more efficiently, spread information more fast. And I think the best thing it does for me is allows me to connect, where I can have a conversation with somebody in Washington on Zoom and be able to hire him in my business. And now I have a location out in Washington up and running, all because of technology. So there's a variety of different things. The fact that it allows you to spread information faster, it allows you to connect with people virtually. And then also just the efficiency and automation behind it, where I can write a life insurance policy and while I'm still sitting with the client, have up to $300,000 issued right away. Okay. It's powerful.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, to go back on saying that you're in a lot of corporations. Mm-hmm. You're the founder of Ari Live Corporation. And what inspired you to start this organization, and what are its key objectives? Also, how did you get that name?
Yeah, so Ari Live Corporation. Ari Live is the combination of my 2 daughters, Aria and Olivia. And so my CPA, now this is the backstory of it, but then I'm going to talk about the mission behind it. My CPA said, Brandon, you're making too much money. You need a corporation so you can shelter yourself from taxes, because Uncle Sam's going to tax you a lot of money. So he said, you need to have a corporation, have your income go through that corporation so that way you can pay yourself a salary. I pay myself a low salary, but taxes is everything, by the way. It's so important to understand the tax game. So that's why I did that. But behind it, I said, you know what? I can use this as a mission. I always had a passion of helping the next generation, find their passion, their goals, and start businesses. So I said, you know what? You guys ever seen Shark Tank?
Yes.
Yeah. I said, I want to start my own Shark Tank. I'm not a shark yet. I'm like a guppy, so it's like Guppy Tank. I got to get money, up to that level. But the thing is, Ari Live was created for me to have individuals that have business ideas that can come to me, share those ideas, and I can invest in them. That's how I was able to get, a bar. That's how I was able to get into real estate investing, have some vacation properties, etc. Because people bring me ideas, and if you have capital, you invest in those ideas. I'm not the guy that's going to come up with the next Amazon or Uber or, Tesla. I don't have that type of mentality. But because I found a career path that allowed me to make a lot of money, I have something that those individuals need, money. So that's why I decided to come with Ari Live as a way for me to invest in the next and up-and-coming entrepreneurs.
Okay.
How would you say you manage your time in spending time with your family while also spending time with your industry and with your
Absolutely.
job?
That's a great question because time management is very tough, but it depends on where you're at in your career. Now, in the early years, when I was figuring things out, I was trying to make some money, I had to devote a lot of time to my career. I had to sacrifice birthdays. I had to sacrifice family events. And any successful person will tell you that's the path in the beginning. But the thing you got to think about is the traditional way is you work 40 years and then you have 20 years to enjoy it in retirement. I'm going a path where I work hard 5 to 10 years and I have 50, 60 years to enjoy my life. So in that 5 to 10 year period, I was willing to sacrifice birthdays. I was willing to sacrifice family quality time to build something so I can have the rest of my life back. So now I pick my kids up from school. I take them all their soccer games and practices. We travel abundantly. Don't tell nobody, but they skip school to go to Disney World sometimes. So the thing is, I worked hard for a period of time because I was willing to sacrifice so I can buy my time back. So sometimes you got to have short-term sacrifice in the beginning for the common goal of down the line, I'm going to be able to be everywhere. Now, if I go ask my daughter at 3 years old, does she remember me not being at one of her games? No, she doesn't remember. But she remembers going to Disney World while her kids were learning history.
What advice do you give to a young professional trying to balance that family aspect of their life?
Now, I'm big on priorities. God first, family second, business third. So as long as if you're going to devote a lot of time to a career, as long as you know the purpose of it, your why behind it is for your family, and it's not for selfish motives, to make a lot of money, to get a Lamborghini, then your family will understand that you're grinding hard for them. So they'll be okay with you having early mornings, late nights, because they understand the mission behind it, the fact that you're doing it for them and not for you. So, like I said, there's no such thing as balance. If anybody ever tells you there's balance in life, that's a lie. It's impossible to have balance because to be successful in something, you got to devote 100% of yourself. Well, if I'm devoting my 100% of myself here, how can I do 100% here? So you can't do 50-50 because if I give 50% to a career, I'm only going to get 50% in return. So yes, at times, from Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5, 100% I'm focused on my career. After 5 o'clock, 100% is on my family. So that's how you adjust, where it's not necessarily 50-50, but you can do 100% at specific times, and then 100% of your focus is with your family or other things that are important to you.
So when prices were going up and it was 2020 and a lot of people were having problems with their family or work and this and that, how did that affect the insurance company?
The good thing about insurance is it's a recession-proof industry. When there's a recession going on or people aren't making money, people are scared, they buy life insurance because they're worried about dying. When they're making a lot of money, people go invest their money. So my industry is recession-proof. So whether it's a thriving economy or we're in a recession, depression, it doesn't affect me at all because financial services is always something that's going to be needed. Now, a restaurant that I was starting around that time, it didn't get off the ground because the recession, that COVID era messed it up. But the good thing about being in insurance is my business actually tripled during that time frame. So especially because of COVID, people were worrying about passing away. So I need life insurance. So.
Speaking of insurance, what are your long-term goals for Primerica and your personal life?
Right. So for Primerica or in business in general, I just want to be responsible for creating as many financially independent individuals as I can. people reaching their goals and dreams. I love being able to see people thrive and knowing that I played a part in helping them get to the goals, the dreams. I have a guy that I hired. He was working at the post office, making great income, but didn't have any free time, working 80, 90 hours a week, and he had a family. Brought him in business with me. He quit his job about 6 months later, went full time, and a year later, he's now making $150,000 a year. I want to be responsible for creating, and of course, at the end of the day, God's responsible for all those things, but I want to be responsible for accomplishing those, helping people have a path. And then on my personal side, it's just having a life of fulfillment. Having a life of fulfillment, a life of freedom, abundance, dominion, being able to live life on my terms, wake up when I want, go to sleep when I want, travel when I want, just live life the way I want to live life with nobody having a thumb on me. Financial independence, where I don't have to rely on working for money. I work because I love it. And I think that's what I want on my personal side of life. But at the end of the day, I just want to make an impact. We're here for a flicker. Success is selfish. I want to be significant.
So this is kind of reminding me of going back on like the movies, Pursuit of Happiness. How do you feel like that kind of connects with your life right now?
I mean, as I said earlier, not now, but earlier in my career, food stamps, and so I saw the struggle. But it always reminded me, all great stories and movies start with somebody having a struggle and making it through. Through the adversity, persevering. So it just, in my mind, I always created the thought that I'm a movie star. This is my show. This is my set, and I'm making this great for people to want to watch. Y'all wouldn't want to watch a movie where somebody's successful and has no problems and everything's all great. Nobody wants to read a Dr. Seuss book when they're grown. They want to read about the stories of people that are struggling and they fight through it so they can remind us to remain in hope and have hope. So I think those stories really allowed me to stay focused on making sure that I have a great movie that people want to watch, read, or see one day. With me having adversity and me thriving through it.
Can you share a significant challenge you faced in your career and the key lessons you learned from it?
Mm-hmm. So one of the biggest things was confidence. I had a lack of confidence early in my career because I was young in the financial industry. So, but what I learned, and I forgot where I got it from, they said, don't link your confidence to your skill level. Link your confidence to your intentions, what you want to accomplish, your goals, your dreams. So that's one thing that kind of got me through that. And then, of course, what I said earlier about, making sure that, you increase your skills, you increase your belief to be more confident. Confidence or age is only an issue in the absence of value. So, of course, I learned through that. And then I had to work through time management. Figuring out how, having a young family, how to make sure that I have time for my family, I have time for my career. So those were some things I had to work through. Then I started making a lot of money at a young age. I had to learn how to be humble, remain humble, because when you live off 99-cent Jack in the Box tacos and you start making some money, you start having a little bit of fun. But I always had to remind myself to remain humble. And as fast as I got it, it could be taken away. So still through life, I'm constantly going through different adversities, but I love adversities. I embrace adversities because what they do is they make you stronger. They make you tougher. And that's what I do every time I face something. I just use it as a way for me to grow. If you're not growing, you're dying. If life is easy, you're not getting tougher.
If you could go back in time and tell your younger self something, what exactly would that be and why?
There's a lot of things I would tell myself. One thing is, don't try to be the cool kid. I say it all the time, cool is broke, weird is rich. And in school, sometimes we get caught up with wanting to be normal. Well, normal is a lot of debt. Normal is jumping from job to job. Normal is having a life of lack. Like, that's normal. 77% of the population lives paycheck to paycheck. Why would I want to go the normal route? I want to be different. So I would have told young Brandon, dare to be different. Don't follow the pack. Go the opposite direction of where people are going. Because if you follow the pack, they're going to lead you to a life of average. So that's one thing. I think that's the biggest thing I would tell myself. Definitely. Another thing is growth. Don't be afraid to continuously learn. My dad was in the Air Force, and he lived by a principle called COCKI, constant assault on continuous improvement. So you constantly grow, constantly grow, constantly grow. Sometimes in life we get to a place where we're comfortable, where we settle, and we decide, I'm good, I don't need to grow no more. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So I would tell young Brandon to constantly grow.
How do you envision technology's role in shaping the future of the financial industry?
It's just going to continue to evolve it, allow us to do things more automated, more efficient. And then, of course, as I mentioned, information is going to be passed out a lot faster. So people are going to be able to receive information a lot faster. You know, people in the 70s, the 80s, they weren't able to get education through the internet. They didn't have that. So they had to either go through books, they had to go through the news, things of that nature. Now things are done right away. As soon as something happens, as soon as Michael Jordan sold his team, it was worth $3.3 billion, that was immediately on Instagram, just like that. So I think information moving faster is definitely going to help us in the financial industry, help give people access to that information so they can help them improve and enhance their own personal financial situation.
So we know like your stance on technology is that it's going to help empower the financial industry. Do you think with technology there might be some challenges that might come with it too?
Mm-hmm. Only challenge that people would think there is AI taking over our role as advisors. AI is taking over a lot of careers. I mean, I was at a Panda Express the other day, and it was a robot. It sounded like Siri that was taking my order. So I went into a Walmart, and there was only one line that was actually ran by somebody. Everything else was self-checkout. So I went to a restaurant in Plano, and there was a robot delivering my food. So a lot of times people worry that, well, what if your position, career becomes obsolete? Technology can handle everything. But one thing at the end of the day, people want to get information about money from somebody that they know or trust. 82% of individuals want to get financial education or services from somebody that they know or referral. So even though robots are so forth and so, taking over and becoming big, it's not going to affect my industry at all. It's not.
So, with your mindset overall and the confidence that you have, what inspires you to have that freedom mindset and to, work however you want to and to just overall keep pursuing that type of freedom?
Yeah. Life is too short. I punched the clock long enough to know that that's not the route I wanted to go, where somebody controls my time, somebody controls my money, somebody controls the car I can drive and the house I live in based on how they pay me. And then one time I was at Walmart and I left and nobody was in my line. I went to use the restroom. They got mad at me. I said, I would never let a grown man or woman tell me when I can use the restroom. This ain't for me. So that's one of those little things really told me that, okay, the path for me is definitely being in control of my time, my money, and my lifestyle. If somebody else controls your time and your money, they don't value you more than they value their family. So you'll never be in a position to get paid what you're worth if somebody else is signing your checks. So I knew for me that I needed to be in control over my paycheck if I wanted to be in control of my destiny. And I also knew I wanted to get free, where I can grind hard for 5 years, 10 years, and live life for the next 50 years the way I want to, versus the 40-40-40 plan, working hard for 40 years, for $40,000 a year, just to retire off of 40% of what you could barely live off before. I knew I didn't want to go that route in life.
So, how do you believe financial literacy program in schools can be enhanced to better prepare students for managing their finance in the real world?
It's needed. It's needed. And a lot of schools are actually adopting a lot of financial curriculum. Some things aren't, I believe personal finances, the things that are definitely needed in the school system is they need to have classes on investing, understanding mutual funds and how to take advantage of tax-deferred growth, tax-free investments, the power of compound interest, the rule of 72, wealth concepts. Another thing is we need to teach credit. So people realize, because as soon as you turn, now they changed it, usually about 21, 22, credit card companies come flying in and giving you all these different credit cards. And when you're young and you have somebody tell you, hey, you got $1,000 to go spend, you don't realize at the end of spending that $1,000 that you're spending money you don't even have. So now you got to pay interest on that $1,000. Do you guys know to pay $1,000 off, just doing the minimum, $25 a month, it'll take you 10 years to pay off a $1,000 credit card. And you'll end up paying about $5,000 in total interest. So the banks don't want us to know these things because that's how they make their money. So the banks don't want to teach us these things so they can capitalize off of what we don't know. But if we know this stuff in school, that let me get a credit card, let me use it just to pay for gas so I can increase my credit score. Because credit score is everything. If you have a strong credit score, you have access to a lot of things. For my cars that I have, 2% interest rate. I could have paid for them cash, but because I understand the money game, this is big right here, I'd rather use the bank's $70,000 since they're only going to charge me 2%. And I want to keep my $70,000 in my investments that's giving me 10%. Why would I take my money out when it's making me more than what the bank's going to charge me? So therefore, I'm going to keep my $70,000 here, Mr. Bank. I'm going to use your money. I'll pay you a little 2% because my money's earning me 10%. These are little things about the money game that we should learn because it'll help us where I feel 15, 20 years, anybody can be a net worth millionaire. Of course, if they make good money, but most importantly, do the right things with their money.
So as a mentor, we know that, you get to interact with a lot of people and just communicate, pretty often. Would you say there's anyone that you've interacted with as being a mentor that has kind of changed the way you work or your perspective on the financial industry or anything like that? I
mean, just every day, just hearing different people's circumstances, it allows me to remain humble and also never have excuses because somebody always has it worse. Somebody always has it worse. So I have an attitude of gratitude. I'm appreciative, but I also I have understanding with individuals because people have different paths. God has taken people through different pathways of life. So I have to have understanding. So, for me personally, whenever I get the opportunity to mentor somebody, I sit, I listen, I find out what's going wrong in their life. And then on my perspective, I tell them how to make it through. So I love just hearing different stories, different people that want to be successful no matter what their circumstance is, and the fact that I can be a blessing for them and give them information that they need or guidance, that's always amazing.
Speaking on guidance, to go back on investing, how would I start trying to invest, or how would I go about researching how to have good investments?
The place you don't go is the bank. Banks don't make people wealthy. Let me tell you guys what the banks do. If you go put money in a bank, let's say in your savings, and they say we're going to give you 1% interest. Well, first off, that 1% is not keeping up with inflation, so you're really losing money. You guys understand inflation, the cost of living is going up. I'm going to tell you guys how to calculate inflation. You take the interest rate that inflation currently is at, it's like 7%. You divide that into 72, and it's going to tell you when the cost of milk is going to double. So if 7 goes into 72, let's say about 10 years. The cost of milk is going to be doubled in 10 years. Isn't that crazy? Gas is going to be doubled. So that's how you calculate inflation, but you also use that same rule to calculate how your money grows. So if you're earning 8% interest on your money, 8 goes into 72 9 times. That means every 9 years your money's going to double. So if you're earning 1% at the bank, how long is it going to take your money to double? 72 years. Who has 72 years to wait for their money to double? We're not living in the old times like Moses to age 700. That ain't happening. So the thing is, we have to understand the banks take our money, they go invest it in the global economy, junk bonds, real estate. They get 10, 12%, and they give us 1%. So they use our money to make money. Banks don't use their own money. They use the Federal Reserve, and they use our money to make money. We got to do what the banks do, go invest our money in mutual funds. That's a great long-term investment strategy. Stocks are good, bonds. Go invest our money in those type of vehicles so we can get the interest rate and we can get our money working for us effectively. So there's so many different routes. You can find a representative from Primerica to set you up with a $25 a month IRA or a mutual fund. I have kids that, cut grass on the weekend and 16, 17, and because they have working income, they put their money in mutual funds. And I have some that's done it for 5, 6 years, and they have $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 at that age from just doing $25, $50 a month. So the thing about investing is it's all about making sure you're maximizing your interest rate, and it's also important to make sure you're systematically investing. Every single month, 20 a month, 50 a month, 100 a month, and let's just keep going and going and going.
So I can't remember if you said this or not, but do you save? Like, is there money that you just set aside and you just save that's not invested or you spend?
Me personally, checking account to pay bills. That's it. I have some money, not a lot. I never keep a lot. When people have 10, 15, 20,000 in a checking account, I say, you're a fool. That money is earning nothing. That money should be earning something. Have money in your checking account to pay your bills. Everything else should be invested. Whether it's an emergency fund, at least earning maybe 4 or 5% interest, or it's aggressively invested, earning 10, 12%. So, but yeah, I don't believe in having a lot of money not working for you. Money's supposed to work for you. We work hard for money. Our money's supposed to work hard for us.
Do you have any significant mentors or people that have impacted your life?
So many. Some that I know personally, and then some from afar. Some from afar, individuals like a Grant Cardone, all the great books I read, John Maxwell. But then I have inside mentors that I personally know. I'm actually flying out to Beverly Hills to spend time with one of them this weekend. He lives in a penthouse in Beverly Hills. His neighbor is Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's moving out, and he's buying Jim Carrey's penthouse too, and pretty much taking over the whole suite. That's the type of people I like to be around. They say if you're the most successful person in the room, that's a problem. You're in the wrong room. If you're doing the best in your circle, that's an issue. You always got to be elevating. So you need to get around individuals that can elevate your thinking, elevate your opportunities. They say if you hang around 9 broke people, you're going to be the 10th. But if you hang around 9 successful people, you're going to be the 10th. What 10th do you want to be?
Can I start hanging around you? Okay, so what is a quote or something that stuck with you that really, even through the hard times, even through finding other quotes that you really like, this is the one that I'm just going to lead with?
I'm going to use the one that I came up with in terms, because I had a lot of losses. Not losing people, I'm talking about I lost in life. But losses aren't fatal. You learn through them. And so when I said that, I said, your losses are your lessons. Your lessons give you wisdom. Wisdom brings you value. And value makes you money. In this country, those that are most valuable, in some cases, make the most money. Unfortunately, teachers very valuable, but they're not paid what they're worth. So there are fields where you bring a lot of value, but the money doesn't show it. But in most fields, if you're valuable, very valuable, you make a lot of money. So in essence, your losses will end up making you money one day. Losses turn to lessons. Lessons bring you wisdom. Wisdom gives you value, and value makes you money. I made that up myself.
So when we know that you kind of keep track of like economic trends and, you know, how prices go up or go down.
Right.
Would you say that it's pretty tricky, you know, keeping track of these types of trends since, you know, sometimes they're not as constant or as consistent as they are?
Absolutely. Because a lot of times people think they can track what's going on in the market. Nobody can track what's going on in the market. You know, there's these smart people that say, oh yeah, I know when the next recession is going to be. They're lying. Nobody knows. It's fugazi. It's just the government, when they do certain things, make certain plays, run certain calls, things get adjusted. Or even when life events happen, pandemics, things of that nature. So there's no true way to know what's going on economically, but you can at least see trends and know that, okay, presidential elections going up, how has that affected market conditions in the past? Whether it affected it in a way where the market took a dip, or maybe it increased it. So you can follow past trends to help you get an idea of future results, but nobody can predict what's going on in the market. Nobody knows when the crash is going to happen, what's going to happen with real estate. You just sit by and watch and see trends and know, okay, based on what's going on, I think things are about to start picking up.
So I do have a question about investment. So a lot of the times you see people have 2 houses, but they use one as like just a renting or maybe Airbnb. Do you feel like that's a good way to start maybe investing your money?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I actually started that. I had some residential properties early on that I was renting out. Now, long term, it's not a good strategy because of the fact that you become a landlord, unless you have a lot of doors. In the game of real estate, it's all about having a lot of doors, a lot of locations. Just having one property, average income on a property is generally maybe 30%. But you got to set aside money for repairs because as the landlord, that's your responsibility. And then if somebody just ups and leaves the house without you knowing, now you got to find somebody to replace it. If nobody's in that house, you're paying that mortgage. The good thing about it is somebody's paying a mortgage and down the line, you're going to have an instant asset. Let's say you have $300,000, a $300,000 mortgage. Somebody else is paying that mortgage. So in 20, 25, 30 years, you now have a $300,000 estate that somebody else paid for. So that's the benefit of it. I do more on the flipping side, buy a property dirt cheap, fix it up, flip it, make 50, 60 grand in 60 days. That's more of the route that I go. But there's so many different, Airbnb is good as well. There's so many different ways, but definitely learn about real estate investing at a young age.
Could you maybe share like a memorable travel experience or maybe even share like a destination that you'd like to eventually go to?
There's so many. I mean, I've done so many traveling. I just got back from New York, and I fell in love with the weather during summer. It's not like Texas. It's amazing. So now me and my wife, we're going to go get an apartment in New York just to live out of 1 or 2 months out of the year. because the weather in the summer. Now, I ain't going there in the winter. I'm staying away from New York in the winter. But New York was so amazing because just the history behind it. We did like a 3-hour tour where we learned about Billionaires Row, where all the billionaires live. We saw where, a lot of movie scenes. We saw J-Lo's apartment with Ben Affleck. Like, we got to just see the whole New York and experience it in full. So I've been plenty of times, but never really just to sit in and actually experience New York. So that was one of my favorites. Recently, I love going to Florida. I have a vacation home in Orlando because I always take the kids to Disney, so that's always fun. Hawaii is always fun. It's just been so many, but I really want to go to Europe. I've never been. And then I also want to go to Dubai. They say the cops have Lamborghinis for cars. So I want to see what that's like. I wouldn't mind getting arrested in a Lamborghini, right? I'm just playing.
So if you've had to choose a book that has had a profound impact on your life or career, which one would you choose?
Think and Grow Rich. Now, the Bible, of course, is number one all time. But outside of that, Think and Grow Rich. Because it taught me how to think. Because the thing is, thoughts turn, your thoughts turn to things. You can't be a millionaire until you think about being a millionaire. Envision being a millionaire. Nobody just wakes up. I tell people all the time, I couldn't make 6 figures until I had made 6 figures in my mind. So Think and Grow Rich teaches you how to think to become successful. Napoleon Hill's the guy that wrote that book. And all he did was study millionaires and billionaires in the early 1900s. Interviewed them and just learned their thinking and put it into a book. I think that's the ultimate guide to being successful because this guy sat and did all the work for us and interviewed all these millionaires and billionaires just to show us how it's done. So that's definitely the book that leads the way for me.
Okay, one more fun question. If you could have any superpower for the day, what would it be? Good
question. So I have a selfless answer, and I got a selfish one. The selfless is I would want to have all knowledge. And I'm not trying to say to be God, but if you ever seen Limitless, the movie where you take that pill and you just become super smart, I would want to do that because I feel I'll be able to help correct a lot of issues. Cure cancer, stop world hunger, like, because the knowledge and all that. Now, the selfish one, I would want to be able to have teleportation power so I can just go to Dubai and be gone, right? So those are my 2 answers. I would want to know everything on the side of helping humanity, but then I want to be able to teleport and go anywhere where I want to go, so.
So, as someone passionate about empowering others, what legacy do you have to leave behind through your career and mentorship efforts?
Yeah, so the legacy, first off, is my kids, Aria, Olivia, and Brandon. That's my legacy. So being able to leave them, leave this world, and they're in a better position than how I came into this world. So that's my legacy. I tell people all the time, if you're born broke, it's not your fault. But if you die broke, it is. Mm-hmm. So I want to make sure that they're set up for success. But then also everybody that I have the opportunity to be able to mentor and coach in business, as long as I can make some sort of impact, whether it's small or large, whether it's one little quote I said or giving them the opportunity to start a business, whatever it may be, I just want to know that I played a role in changing somebody's life. And I think that's what I want my legacy to be when I'm gone.
Okay, so that wraps up our show. I'm Violet.
I'm Unison.
I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Dante.
Thank you.
And I'm Brandon.
Thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure talking to you. That really, especially for as business students, really put us into set. Don't forget to follow us. Don't forget to follow him. No. So thank you. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
My radio station.
We hope you enjoyed the great content and great discussion, all from a student's perspective. Make sure to follow us on Twitter for the latest updates at KSBM_TVT or on Facebook at KSBM Radio.
Add them on Facebook.
Check them on Facebook.
Take care.